How would you like to live in one of Jacksonville and Northeast Florida's most unique and highly sought after one-of-a-kind communities? Well, in today's video, we're not gonna hold anything back and we're gonna show you this beautiful model home right behind us, discuss just where we're at today and what truly makes this home in this neighborhood truly unique. So let's get right into the home tour now. All right, so we're out here today looking at a truly custom home, something that we do not see here very often. And as you see when we walk up, I mean, it does still have that hardy board sign that we tend to see in a lot of the other homes and a lot of other neighborhoods here in that Northeast Jacksonville, Florida area. But what makes this one so unique, and we're gonna touch on this throughout this video, is that this home is on an 1.5 acres. And it's not just this home. Any home in this neighborhood are gonna have anywhere from 1 acre to 2 acres of land, which is not common here in Northeast Florida. So to have a community like this that has that is huge. But as we come up, you're gonna see right away with this specific model home, you know, they did a very nice kind of front porch, front atmosphere, so to speak. You know, part of this is because it's the model, and maybe it's not something you would do with your home, but it's really cool to see this little like water feature they have. Gives you an area that you can hang out on, you know, on a nice, peaceful, you know, evening. But at the same time, if you want to leave this as just landscaping, you definitely could as well. And then, as we continue through, we also will have an additional front porch area over here that is covered. So that way, even if it's a day where it's, you know, maybe not the nicest out, you have that ability to not have to worry about getting wet, to be rained on. You know, it is definitely right now probably 15 degrees cooler underneath here versus where we were just at. And I do love the fact that this builder did a really cool tile pattern. You know, it's very light, very bright, which still kind of plays into what we're used to seeing here with most homes in Northeast Florida. As we come in too, you're gonna see too that they did some really nice rock elements with that hardy board to kind of break it up some. Almost gives it kind of like a Texas home kind of flair that we don't really see a ton here. So I do love seeing that as well. And then coming in, we do have the 9-foot tall door, which will then lead us to the inside of this amazing home. So let's check it out now. All right, so now as we come into the home, right away you're greeted with some beautiful lighter wood floors. You know, that's something that we're seeing a lot more of from builders across the board. But I do love the fact that this builder did that throughout the whole first floor because it definitely makes it feel light and bright and kind of brings up with the times what we're seeing nowadays. In addition, as you'll see, we have 20-foot tall ceilings in this front foyer. We're also gonna have that in other parts of the home too, which you'll see in a moment. But the 20-foot ceiling, it really gives you a grand entryway, which is something that you don't always get with every floor plan. So I love when builders do that as well. Then with this plan, we do have our dining room here. Now this dining room, as you can see, this is an 8-seater table, but there's still room here. So you could easily do a larger table here as well. And so again, you have those options with a plan like this to have that formal dining room area. So whether if you have a smaller family or if you have a much larger family, even if they're not local, but they come to visit for holidays, you have that ability to entertain them year round. You also see here that there is tons of recessed lights and surround sound speakers with this dining room, and you're gonna see that throughout most of the home as well. Now, a lot of times those surround sound speakers are gonna be an upgrade, typically with the builder. Occasionally builders will do it as a standard, but in general, if you wanna know exactly what's the standard, what's an upgrade with this house, just reach out to me with a call, a text, an email, so we can go over all that in more detail. In addition, as we continue through from the dining room to the back side of the house, the builder did a great job of kind of including like a dry bar over here. So we do have our mini fridge or wine chiller. We have tons of cabinetry here as well, which everything is soft close, full wood. And then they still even went up to the ceiling with the cabinets and even did a lot of glass with it. So that way you can kind of make it a focal point or showpiece for when people do come in. So again, it gives it a complete look, gives it a high-end look and a finished look, which I love to see. And then as we continue through, we are gonna be making it to the living room, kitchen in a second, but we do have additional storage underneath the stairwell. And that's another thing that it's not a major detail sometimes, but I love seeing that because no matter how large or small your house is here, and this is a very large house, and we'll get to that throughout this video and just how big this is today as well as where we're at. But to have additional storage like that's huge because you tend to always need more space, it seems like. You know, and it's better to always have the space and not need it than to need it and not have it. Then it brings us to our kitchen. In this kitchen, I mean, what can I say? I mean, this is a beautiful kitchen. I love the fact that the builder did the two-tone cabinets, so our uppers are gonna be that lighter wood color, kind of matches the color of the floors, which I do love when there's a symbiotic relationship there. And then the lowers are those white cabinets, which are very popular still today. Again, everything again is soft close. We have our Wolf microwave next to our Sub-Zero fridge. In a house like this, you're gonna normally see upgraded appliances. Now these are definitely upgraded, and that's something you could do with your home too if you were to choose a home in this community, but it's nice to know you could do those upgraded appliances as well. In addition, they did go up to the ceiling with the cabinets as well, which is again a finished look that I love to see. Then we get to our island. In this island, all I can tell you is I love when the builder gives you that thicker quartz. This is a quartz countertop, and again, a lot of times builders, they'll give you just the 2-inch quartz, but in this case, we got, I believe this is 3-inch or 4-inch, and again, it just makes a huge difference. It gives it more of an impact when you come into the home and into the kitchen for you, but also for guests. In addition, we have tons of additional countertop space back here, tons of cabinetry. As you can see here, our Wolf gas stovetop. This is a 6-burner gas grill or stove, and it also does have the flat top as well. So that way, again, if you want to make some eggs or you want to put some pancakes on there, you definitely could. It just gives you those options. And again, to have that gas, natural gas or propane, like to always have that as an option when you're buying a home here is not always a guarantee. There's parts of Northeast Florida, parts of Jacksonville where you don't get that. So to have that here is a huge bonus. In this neighborhood, as I mentioned, it's truly one of a kind. So again, if you want to know where we're at today, don't hesitate. You can call, text, email me, or again, I will mention it throughout this video. In addition, we do have a beautiful ventilation coming up, really another focal point there. Again, just really kind of brings it all together, which I love. We also have the large Kohler deep sink, singular sink. I always love to know, what people's preferences are. Some people love the single sink. Some people actually like to have it divided. Personally, I'm more of a single sink kind of guy, but I can totally understand why you'd want to have a divided sink as well. Then it brings us, actually before we get to the pantry behind me, I do want to highlight too that they actually matched up the backsplash. They did a quartz backsplash to match with the quartz countertops. So that way it all just flows together and all has a common look. Sometimes, it makes sense to do a tile backsplash, but the quartz does kind of highlight the look of it. It brings everything together, and I think it was a great decision by them to do that in this specific model home. In addition with this floor plan, as you can see here, we do get a massive pantry. Not only is this a massive pantry, but they also did custom cabinetry throughout, and they still continue some additional quartz in here, so that way you do have some workstations or storage stations in here as well. I mean, as you can see, they're using it as kind of their coffee area. That's something you could do as well if this was your home. So again, if you want to know what floor plan this is, just reach out to me, I'll help you with that as well. Or you can stay till the end, we'll definitely go over that too. But in general, I love when they give us these large pantries. You also do get that additional mini fridge or wine chiller. So that's number 2, keep that in mind as we go through this home. But in general, I mean, this kitchen pretty much gives you everything you'd want. You also get tons of recessed lights, so you're not worried about any part of the house feeling dark by any means either. Then out here, this is gonna be our little mudroom area. I do like how they put some nice built-ins here so you can, come in from the garage, sit down, take your shoes off. You have cubbies for your shoes. It just makes sense. But in addition to that, across from here, we do have our first AC closet. And the reason I'm showing this is because as you can see, this AC closet is actually a really great size. Very easy to get to your AC to service it or have someone service it. And you still get some storage space here because as I mentioned, storage space is super important when you have a house here in Northeast Florida. We have our little coat closet as well. And then that's gonna take us to our garage. Now this is not a 1-car garage. It's not a 2-car garage. It's not a 3-car garage. It's a 4-car garage. And you may be curious, well, Justin, this isn't a 4-car garage, but we're getting there. This is the 2-car aspect that you get with it, the first 2-car aspect. And what I love too is again, these windows, they do a lot of natural light in. These doors, these garage doors are, they are insulated garage doors. That's a huge benefit too, especially during the winter time or the summertime to kind of keep it cool in here or warm, so to speak. But then as we rotate 180, we can actually show you the additional 2-car garage over here. So it's really cool how they designed this to where you can get access to all at the same time, which is not always a guarantee. Sometimes you get these floor plans where it's a 3-car garage and the 2 cars on one side of the house and the 1 car's on the other. In this case, they're all kind of connected, which is huge. In addition, we have a door out to our backyard. And you'll notice here too, we actually have a water softener in this house. And there's a reason for that, other than it's always good to have a water softener as well. So we'll kind of discuss that throughout this video, but having that water softener on a house like this is super important because of where we're at today. From there though, let's now head back inside. Oh, I forgot to mention too, but they also have the epoxy floors. That never hurts. Again, probably an upgrade, but something you could do. So then as we continue forward, let's go and check out the living room next. So as you see here, we do have like a secondary dining room area. Now this is gonna be great for your day-to-day eating if you don't wanna eat at your kitchen island or you don't wanna use your more formal dining room area. And as you can see here, this is a 6-seater table. You could probably make an 8-seater table out of here. So if you do have a larger family, you don't have to worry about running out of space anywhere. This house gives you everything you can need as far as that's concerned. We then come to our living room, and I do want to reference, we are now back to those 20-foot ceilings. I love when the builders do this, like it just makes the room feel bigger, it makes it feel more grand, but they still even did the tray ceiling up there with that wood inlay on the ceiling and the crown molding, which I think is a huge plus. It just really finishes it off, and again, it gives you that wow factor that you're always wanting to see for a home of this price range and this size. In addition, we do have our beautiful glass wall, from floor to ceiling pretty much to kind of overlook our backyard, which we will kind of highlight later on. You don't want to miss that. And then we get to our fireplace, which I love the clean look they did with it, with the built-ins on each side. There might be an option even to do the fireplace up to the ceiling, but if you want to know if that's possible or not, you got to reach out to me by calling me, texting me, emailing me, or in the description of this video will be a link to my calendar to set a time with me so we can go over all of that in more detail. As we continue through, we do have a half bath here. This half bath is great for guests, so that way they don't have to go upstairs, they don't have to come into a bedroom. Just really good to have, in general with any floor plan. I do like how they did the tile there as well, just gives it a very clean look as well. Then we come into our, what I would call our mini primary or our mother-in-law suite. So right away with this, we're gonna check out the bathroom. This is gonna be a single vanity bathroom. The counters, countertops, they match what we saw in the kitchen. And then we do have our shower enclosure here. Now the shower enclosure, things I love about it, it's all glass, seamless glass, just looks really clean. You have a step down in there, so you don't have to worry about it getting too wet when you come in or out. The water's gonna be pretty self-contained. And in addition, they also do have the tile up to the ceiling, which gives it a very complete look. And when you come into it, what's really cool is you can turn the shower on without getting wet before you get in. So you can let the water get hot before you get in and get cold from the cold water. And we do have a little niche in there too, so that way for your soaps, your shampoos, you have somewhere to put them as well. So again, just really well-designed bathroom across the board. I love when builders do that because when it just makes sense, when it feels natural, that's always the best feeling. We then have our walk-in closet here, which is a great benefit too, because again, if it's gonna be maybe your mom, your dad, your parents, it's great to have everything so accessible for them and to give them as much space as possible, because sometimes when you're buying a house, it's not just for you. It may also be for your parents. It may be for your grandparents. It may be for your kids as far as how you think about what's important, what's not important. So it's very great when you have all these different options with these different floor plans. Specifically this one, which I think is a very well-designed plan across the board. But enough about that. As we come into this bedroom, you'll see here, it's a very good sized bedroom. This is a queen bed. We do have our nightstands on each side too, which just highlights that there is some good space in here. And we do get some great natural light on both sides with the windows. So just across the board, it all just kind of makes sense in how the layout is. And you feel kind of tucked back in here as well when you are in here. So even though you're right off the living room, you would never know that when you're back in here. From there, we are actually done with the first floor, if you can believe it or not. It may have taken a little bit longer than you thought, but it's just 'cause it's a beautiful house. We are now gonna head upstairs and check out what we have up there as well. But before we do that, I do wanna highlight too, the fact that the builder here, did some really nice open railing for the stairwell coming up. We have open railing on the whole second floor, which you will see as well when we get up there. And they did the wood treads going up, so it matches the wood floors down here. So it's a very finished and complete look. It's really how it should be. Enough about that, let's get upstairs and check out the second floor. All right, so now that we're upstairs, I do wanna highlight that they did continue this wood flooring throughout the second story as well. That does make a big difference in my opinion. There's a lot of people who live here who don't wanna have that carpet, and this is a great alternative, although maybe not the most cost effective to be able to do that. So I do love when the builders do this because it just shows you that it can be done. In addition, before we go into the first bedroom, as you'll see here, this open railing like I told you about, it gives you a beautiful view of the back yard as well as your living room. And then over here too, you do get that as well with the foyer. So just great across the board. Let's go check the first bathroom out now, or bedroom out now. So this can be your first bedroom. This can be your only bedroom that doesn't have its own dedicated bathroom. And as you'll see here, it's a really good size. We still have a full size bed here, but this could definitely be a queen size bed if you desired. You do have the nightstand on one side, you have the little desk on the other side, but you could definitely do a larger bed if you wanted to and just change the layout. In addition, they did crown molding in here. And let me know your thoughts on this. This is crown molding that I don't see very often and how they did. They actually add like a pattern to it at the bottom. So let me know what you think about that as far as the pattern they added. Do you like it? Is it not for you? I'd love to know your thoughts. We still get some great natural light as well. And then we have our standard closet as well in this room. But what I do like is that they did do the sliders instead of the bifolds, which really just gives it a more finished look. In addition, they did do carpet in the bedrooms, which is pretty normal for the second story. But again, if you didn't want that, you could always change that as well. Then as we continue through, I do want to highlight too that the ceiling height is still great up here as well. Sometimes we go into some of these homes and the second story, you go down to 8-foot ceilings or 9-foot ceilings. In this case, this might still be 9 feet, but it just feels nice and tall. And the doors are still tall, so that makes a huge difference as well. Then we have our second bedroom up here. Now this bedroom, a little bit bigger than the last one. The last one's probably the smallest bedroom in the house. But this bedroom, again, it's a really good size, as you can tell, because you have a little sitting area over here. Again, normally you get these sitting areas in primaries, but if you can get them in a secondary bedroom, why not, right? In addition, we do have our dresser here, which just highlights just how large the space is. They still did do a queen size or a full size bed in here, but you could easily do a queen, just like the last one. And with this one too, we actually get a really large walk-in closet. Look at this. Look how far back I can go. This is a massive walk-in closet for a guest bedroom. So again, if you have a child and they have a lot of clothes or they have a lot of toys, this is a good bedroom for them, if you ask me. Then we do have our own entryway into our shower, into our bathroom. This bathroom is a single vanity. It does have a tub because you definitely want to have at least one bathroom with a tub. As you can see here, the shower tub combo, they did do the tile up to the ceiling. Really nice color choice with the gray, kind of actually offsets well with this more like purplish paint color. And you still do get that niche there for your soaps, your shampoos and stuff like that. But then what they did do too, because remember that other bedroom did not have its own bathroom, they give us a secondary access point here. So that way the occupant of that bedroom can get access to this bathroom. From there, we're gonna keep it on going. This is gonna be your second AC closet. Not much to see there. And I do wanna mention too, they did do Craftsman trim throughout the house. Now that Craftsman trim is actually super important to know about because that is more custom. It's more work for the contractor to do. So it normally is an upgrade, but because they do it on site, but it's a great finished look when it's all said and done. Then we get to our last secondary bedroom. This is gonna be our third bedroom upstairs, fourth bedroom we've seen so far. We are missing one, which I'm sure you can guess which it is, which we're about to go check out. But this bedroom is another good sized bedroom. It has great views of your backyard, which again, you're not gonna miss that as we get further along. And this is a full size bed again, but you could definitely again do a queen size bed if you desired. And don't ask me why the builders do the chandeliers instead of ceiling fans for their models. I don't have a good answer for that, but obviously if something that you wanted was a ceiling fan, they can definitely do that as well for you. They just like to kind of highlight what they can do when they have their model homes. In addition, we do have our closet here, which is kind of a walk-in, a little bit on the smaller side, but still does give you great storage space for whoever may be occupying this room. Then we get to our last bathroom for upstairs besides the primary. In this bathroom, they actually went with a much darker quartz countertop, which I actually really like. It contrasts well with the brown cabinets and the lighter gray floors. And then as far as the shower, it's up to the ceiling. And the tile, they did the same thing as they did the others, which they went up to the ceiling with it. So it gives a very complete look, very finished look. And then again, we do have our niche in there as well for our toiletries. Now the big difference with this one versus the one downstairs is this one, you actually have a step up to then step back down. And the reason for that is because on a second story of a house, they can't do the step down like they can on the first floor. They're forced to do that step up and step down to keep the water contained. So just, if you didn't know, now you know. But again, if you wanna know where we're at today, as I mentioned before, what floor plan this is, what price point this even is, reach out to me with a call, a text, and email. I'm happy to help answer any questions you have on that. We're now gonna come back to the other side of the house to check out what I think is one of the biggest focal points, one of the craziest things I've ever seen when it comes to the primary, and you'll see why in just a moment. So let's go and check that out now. All right, so before we go in here, I just wanna highlight this space is probably the largest primary bedroom I've ever been in for these model home tours. But as you can see, as we come in, just let's go ahead and pan and just show how massive this primary is. And this is just the bedroom portion. There's more to see, but as you can tell right away, they did not leave anything back when they designed this plan for you as the homeowner in mind. So again, you want that tray ceiling, get those 10-foot ceilings on the second floor, you got it. You want those wood beams, you got it. You want all the recessed lighting you could want, you have it. If you want to really make this a focal point and do a nice flat screen TV with a great built-in here with your own mini fridge, which is number 3, again, keep that in mind, number 3 mini fridge, you have it. They even did some beautiful quartz countertops to finish it all off, and those are still going to be soft closed cabinets. So you have a sitting area in your primary. If you want to have a little meeting with your kids, you can have a little meeting with kids in your primary. Whatever the case may be, you have so much options with this. Now, could it be too big for some people? Maybe, but as I like to think, better bigger than smaller, right? And that's what she said, right? But regardless, as we come to the other part of the primary, I hadn't said that before, we do have our king size bed. We have our nightstands on each side, well positioned with how they did the windows. We have the ceiling sconces, so to speak, on each side to give us some additional recessed or ambient lighting at night. We have a nice big bench here. So again, if you're getting dressed, want to put your shoes on upstairs, you can as well. And we have the wall of windows here that give us a beautiful view of our extremely large backyard, which we'll get to throughout this video. In addition, they did still do the surround sound speakers up here. So you do have that as well with this floor plan if you want that as an option. Then we get to our primary bathroom. In this primary bathroom, we have our linen closet here, but this is expansive. It is super large. You have 2 really nice sized vanities on each side. They did the wall tile across the whole sidewall here with our transom or our more fixed window here to again allow natural light in. And again, you don't necessarily need to glaze it over because you have great privacy beyond the second story. In addition, we do have our super large, deep tub here. So again, if you're someone who likes to take showers but also likes to take baths, this is a great space for you. And then the tile choice in here, I actually love the tile choice in here for the floor. They also did it for the accent wall in the shower. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. I love this, but maybe not everyone does. So I'd love to know if you like this tile or if you would have done something differently up here. Then as far as the shower, I already told you the whole trick with the step up. But as we come in here, again, I love this tile. It just has a nice, clean, finished look to it. In addition, we have not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 shower heads. So plenty of water flow to go around. You never have to worry about not being able to get a good shower in with a space like this. In addition, you have a different nozzle for each shower head, so you don't have to use all of them if you don't want to. And we do have the niches in both, so that way, again, for your soaps, your shampoos, whatever the case may be, you have a place for that as well. We have our powder room there, or our water closet, and then it brings us to our large, and I mean it, large primary closet. So again, they did the custom closets in here. You have your place for your shoes, you have the place for your underwear, your socks, your shirts, your pants, your shorts, whatever the case may be, with tons of great natural light too with all these windows. And it wraps around your whole primary bathroom and actually takes us around to the laundry room, which we're about to show you. In addition, they do give us a nice countertop space here as well. Some places to sit down as well. I mean, just, it has everything. I mean, other than, some people may not like the upstairs primary, some people actually will love the upstairs primary, but as far as the primary itself, what more could you want? And I'm serious. Leave in the comments or call me, let me know what more would you want with this space. I mean, you even have access to your laundry room up here, which I think is a huge bonus. This laundry room, we have our washer dryer. They did do tons of cabinetry up here as well. Again, most likely an upgrade, but something you can do with them. We have our sink with our quartz countertops, which still match all the countertops downstairs. And they still continued all that wood flooring in all the dry areas of the house. Obviously, bathrooms are not gonna have it because those are wet areas. But in general, we do have that flooring throughout, which I love. So that's really gonna wrap up the second story, but we're not done just yet. We're now gonna check out the backyard, which they did not leave anything to chance. They did a great job back there. All right, so saving the best for last, as I try to always do if I can, we're now gonna check out the backyard. And you might be surprised, okay, the primary wasn't the best? Maybe to some, but maybe not to all, especially living here in Northeast Florida. But right away, as we come out to our backyard, we have a really nice open area that we can open up with the sliding glass doors. It brings us to our covered back patio. Now you could screen this in if you wanted to, or you could leave it wide open the way it is here. It does give you some options depending on what your desire is, if you want to have it open or not. But out here, we do have some additional outlets. We have the TV back here, surround sound speakers, but it's just a really great space, especially with the tile that they did out here, that allows you to be able to entertain even on days that may not be as beautiful as it's today. That's the thing about Florida, is not every day is gonna be beautiful. We're gonna have some rain sometimes, maybe some not great weather. So to have an area of the backyard that you can still have people to be able to hang out in is never a bad thing. All right, so then as we continue forward, obviously for days that are not so great, we have the covered area. But for days that, again, are very beautiful like today, you do have this outdoor table as well. It's a 6-seater table. Again, you could easily do an 8-seater, you could do a 10-seater, I mean, you could do multiple tables if you wanted to. You just have that much space with these yards because of just how large this lot is. In addition, they did a lot of this backyard in turf, which may not be what you would do, but here's why I love the turf as a backyard material choice, because it's very low maintenance. And for someone who wants to live in Florida because they want to enjoy the lifestyle that comes living in Florida, it's very low maintenance compared to having to keep it manicured and keep the lawn cut. So again, the less grass you can have around this part of your backyard is not always a bad thing. Let me know your thoughts on if you agree with me or if you don't disagree. I'd love to know that as well. Then we're gonna come to our outdoor kitchen, but let's just also check out this pool real quick. And this is a beautiful pool. I love the waterfall effect as well that they did here. And you also do have a hot tub portion as well, which we will highlight as we continue around this backyard. But I do wanna just mention, this is one of the nicer pools, even though it's a little more simplistic than some of the ones we've seen, still one of the nicer pools that we've been able to check out on this channel. You also have some areas to tan, which when you live here, you're gonna wanna get some tanning in. It just comes with the territory. Then we get to our outdoor kitchen. Now they did put more of like a pergola, like a metal pergola kind of setup up top to give us some protection from the sun, give us some shade. But out here, they actually did 2 different granites. They did a darker granite for the island, which again, this seats 8 people. You could easily probably fit a couple more chairs if you wanted to, but they did the waterfall effect with it as well to kind of finish it off, which I think just really gives it a high-end feel, really just gives that extra oomph that you're probably looking for with a home like this. And then as far as the other section, we're gonna have our area here for our trash. We're gonna have some additional storage over here. We're gonna have number 4 for our mini fridges. That's the last one, I promise. And then again, we have our Coyote gas grill as well. So pretty much everything you could want and need out here, you're gonna have as far as the outdoor kitchen is concerned. And I even like the tile they chose here. Definitely something I haven't seen before, and gives it kind of a, almost like a beachy, almost like a wavy look that does kind of make you think that you're at the beach, even though we are kind of far from the beach, as I'll discuss later on. We have a little sitting area out here as well. You know, if you wanted to, you can make this a fire pit area. You know, there's definitely things you could do there. And then it brings us up to really an area that we have never shown before on this channel. And this is off of your pool area, but this is another covered area, another entertaining space. Maybe it becomes a diving board, diving platform for you or your kids. Again, you want to be careful with that kind of stuff. But this is a really cool area here with how they did the roof up here. They did that wood inlay all the way across. You still have tons of recessed lighting out here as well, so that way you can use this space during the day or at night. And again, that cathedral kind of look with the ceiling really gives it more depth, which I love. In addition, we have our outdoor fireplace here with the TV. So again, if you're wanting to watch football, basketball, baseball, any sort of sporting events with friends or family, you could do that year round out here. And this tile going up to the ceiling, you know, that also is a nice touch. You know, it's a very clean pattern, kind of goes with the tile for the flooring, and really just gives it a great look overall. So again, I mean, just nothing was held back. You know, this is just a space that we don't get to experience too often here. It's a space that you could definitely make yours if you desired it, whether it's with the builder or after they finish the home itself. And again, if this is the house you want, at some point they will be selling this model. So if you want to know when that time's going to come, you just got to reach out to me. In addition, this is going to be our hot tub area. They actually did it where the water is going to overflow into the actual pool, which does give it a nice look as well. The waterfall effect, as I mentioned previously, is great because it kind of gives you a little bit of noise cancellation, even though you're going to have great privacy from your neighbors. You still have some sunbathing areas out here as well. And you even have some areas here that you can kind of use just to quickly get around, which you don't always get. You know, sometimes they'll do that with pools, but not always. And then finally, to end it, this backyard experience, to cap it off, when you live in Florida, if you're not in the pool, if you're not at the beach, you know, if you're not out shopping maybe, you're gonna wanna maybe be golfing. And we're a very big golf community here. We have tons of public and private courses. So what better than to have your personal putting green out here to work on your short game when you're not actively on the course. So definitely cool to see that as well. And then obviously back here is pretty wide open, but believe it or not, you are gonna own land further back as well. Because again, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, this is going to be, you know, anywhere from 1 acre to 2 acres for the lot size, which is not common here in Northeast Florida in Jacksonville. So to go over where we're at today and explain just what makes this community so unique, we're gonna go over that right now. I mean, what do you think about this backyard? Personally, this is one of the most amazing backyards I've seen yet from a builder. And it just goes to show you what you can do, whether if you're buying a new construction with this builder, any builder, or if you're buying a pre-existing home and you do it yourself, so long as you have the space for it. That's what I love about, you know, these model home tours, is for you, the audience, you can kind of get to see different things, you know, what's in, what's popular, you know, things that different builders try to do to kind of, you know, change up what they do. So that's always great for, you know, to be able to experience. But again, when you are looking to buy your own house, that's where it also shows you what you can do yourself with any of these builders. But as far as today, you know, we are in the Iron Branch community. This community is very specific in that it is a estate style community, almost like an equestrian community. And that is actually why you're gonna have 1 acre to 2 acre size lots. And you may think, okay, well, I mean, how big is this community then with those size lots? It's not the largest community, but it's not a small community either. This is gonna be roughly 55 or so lots. So again, if you're watching this and you loved what you saw today, do not wait. Call me, text me, email me, whatever the case may be, to get a hold of me so we can go over how many are still available. Because at the end of the day, when this community gets finished, they may make another community like this, they may not. This is a very new look for what we have not normally seen here in Northeast Florida in Jacksonville when it comes to a new construction community development standpoint. So that makes it very unique. It makes it very highly sought after as well. And so ultimately, I do love a lot of aspects about living in a community like this, such as you get a lot more privacy. You're not gonna be stuck on a 40, 50, 60, 70 foot wide lot like a lot of these other homes you may have watched on our channel have. You also, besides getting privacy, you also get room to roam. These are gonna be estate style homes. So they're all gonna be typically, 4,000 or so plus square feet. But you're also gonna have that acreage, the ability to expand on it. You could add to it. If you want a guest house, you could probably do that as well. So you have a lot of options there across the board, depending on what you and your family are looking for. Now on the flip side, you are gonna be a little bit further away from, most things compared to some of these other new construction communities like Nocatee or Silverleaf or Rivertown. And so from here, you're about 40 minutes or so from the St. John's Town Center. You're about 50 minutes or so from the beach. So if a beach is very important to you and be able to go to the beach, just understand it's a bit of a drive from here. You're about an hour and 15 minutes away from the airport, but you're only about 30 minutes away from downtown St. Augustine. So there are some benefits. There's also some negatives with living out here, but if driving is something that you don't want to do, then you would maybe want to look at more of a typical neighborhood rather than this estate style neighborhood, to be more in an area that you're not having to maybe drive as much, because in general, Jacksonville is a driving city, but out here, you're definitely gonna have to drive to most things. But again, look what you get despite that. So it may be worth it. If you wanna figure out if it is worth it or not, you just have to call me. But overall, people do love Jacksonville because of the fact that, it's a very developing community. There's a lot of change happening here, a lot of good change if you ask me. And ultimately what that means is you still have that ability to buy a home here and see really great appreciation in the next 5 years, 10 years, whatever the case may be, depending on what your family's wants and needs are. So that's why we still constantly see people move to the area, along with the fact that the weather here, is very hospitable and definitely gives you a lot of things to be able to do year round, to where you're not cooped inside due to the elements during this time of the year or during certain times of the year. So I do like that aspect, and that's why I still live here in Jacksonville myself. But as far as this specific floor plan that we're in today, we are actually in the Flint floor plan. And this floor plan is built, and this neighborhood, this community is built by Toll Brothers. Now, Toll Brothers is a national home builder, and they're typically known for their luxury presence. And you definitely see all of that today through this walkthrough, at least I did, and hopefully you did as well. So if you want to know, again, more about this floor plan or more about Toll Brothers, you have to just reach out to me. But on top of that, when it comes to this floor plan, it gives you a lot to like. This is a 5-bedroom floor plan. This one specifically is 4.5 bathrooms, but you actually could do 5 full bathrooms to go with that half bath if you desired. This is a 4-car garage, although their base plan does start at 3 cars, so they did upgrade that. And as you saw today, it's a 2-story floor plan as well. And for all that, you actually do get, in my opinion, a very good price, because this is a 4,389 square foot floor plan. May even be a little bit bigger, to be honest, but it starts at 4,389 square feet, and you get all of that. You get the floor plan, the size, the bedrooms, bathrooms, the garage, the 1.5 acres, 2 acres. You get all that with the floor plan itself starting at $1.319 million. Now there is gonna be lot premiums in that. There's gonna be design center features in that. There's gonna be structural features in that. So the 1.319 is not gonna be where you start off at in the grand scheme of things. That's really just for the base plan of the house and the standard features, which if you wanna know what those are, just reach out to me, we'll go over a lot of those. But at the same time, to be into a home for say maybe $2 million or less, and to get the acreage, to get everything you saw here today, you can't beat that. As far as this one specifically today, this one's probably gonna be closer to 2, maybe even above 2, because it does have tons of upgrades inside and out, as you saw. But if you wanna know what the cost was for this model, if they've already priced it out, or if they haven't yet priced it out, as well as what's a standard price point to get into a neighborhood like this once you're all in, reach out to me with a call, a text, an email. In the description of this video will be a link to my calendar, so that way we can set up a time to meet and go over all your family's wants and needs, whether if it's here in Iron Branch or if it's in any other communities or neighborhoods here in Northeast Florida and Jacksonville. Because I always want to be your source for all things Jacksonville, and also help you in your decision making on if Jacksonville's the right fit for you or if someone else is as well. And then lastly, I always like to mention the incentives. They are offering some really good incentives right now. So if you do want to know what they are right this second, because they're always subject to change, as is the price, by the way, always subject to change as well, you have to just reach out to me and we'll go over all that in more detail. With that, I'll let you guys go, and we'll see each other on the next model home tour.